I want to talk about a lesson that took me 3 years to learn that came home to me this last full moon. And as maybe a lot of people are experiencing, as we say, shit's starting to hit the fan. And if we don't look at it and deal with it, it just makes us either shut down more or it opens us up to softness. And that is the part of my heart that needs to expand. And I can feel that softness comes when I have to be in a humble space and not righteous and doing the right thing or focus on a target outside of myself, but looking at my own relationship with myself and how I see others and see myself. So I don't want to go into the details of the person and the circumstances, but the lesson came for me with not saying thank you and a space of not showing gratitude. And it was in my work situation in my business that has now closed, Love Bite Glove, which was a fun little thing I did just because I could and I found a need and filled it. But I had hired someone to ship and distribute them from the U.S., and I realized when the relationship started to break down, I had to stop and go, wait, what have I done to cause this? Obviously, silence was not communicating a hurt, and it made me go, wait a minute, think about it, Phyllis. What did you do? How did you put your foot in your mouth or ignore someone or whatever? And I did a ponopono, which is 4 things you say when in conflict and how to resolve a conflict pretty quickly that I learned from the Huna tradition. And the 4 things are, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And I learned to do it with my ex, James, when we were separating and about to go our separate ways. And it was a wonderful thing to communicate what was really in your heart that you never said and get those on the table finally. And then to finish with those 4 statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. And it was the best experience I'd had in my life, really, to just release all those unsaid statements and then to let them go and ask for forgiveness for the statements that you never said. And it also works in business relationships, too, or any relationship you have. I have often seen myself when I'm listening to a friend or a loved one complain about a situation or another person. My instant thought is to take the other side and go, why would they say that? And ask them and ask myself. But often that came across like I was picking on them, and I have since apologized and once for seeing that. But also with silence was another teacher for me and going, why aren't they responding? Why hasn't everything worked anymore? What did I do to offend? And then it hit me. Oh, I had a lot of things to apologize for. And the gravest of all of those was not saying thank you for 3 years of doing this work with a small amount of pay, so you're not doing it for making tons of money. And it was really shameless of me to behave that way and painful. And a pain that I appreciate having, which is why the laughter is there. Because it was in that I can feel the softening of my own heart finally and went, ah. And now that I've been able to focus more on my heart and really pay attention to the neural cells that are working diligently, trying to teach me some lessons, that it has physical responses. I can feel it moving. And when I hug different people, it pulsates and it'll pop. And it's an interesting muscle to get to know and an intelligence system to learn more about. So for me, it's been one of the best lessons I've had this last full moon. But I also need to give a plug to Bach flower essences and light mandala systems. Because it was by doing a scan using the light mandala system to just scan emotionally what's going on. And Bach flower systems are 38 flower tinctures that created to deal with emotional issues. And one of the ones that came up for me in the scan, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was looking at, it would help me to see myself as other people see me. I'd never drank that one before, and I just went, oh, didn't know that was a thing. And the next day is when I realized I needed to do the ponopono for this now former business associate. And I went, wow, good medicine. And I love the system in allowing me to get those shortcuts. When I do not identify as an intuitive, clairvoyant, sensitive healer, I need a little bit of technology help and tools that make it easier for me to be able to see myself and use that mirror of research and intelligence and forethought. That's been the work of other people to put it together. And I'm grateful for that system for teaching that. So if you haven't looked into Light Mandalas, it's a so many libraries and so many healing modalities in one piece of, 4 pieces of technology. But the scanner is one of those first pieces that I recommend if you don't do anything else. Just check your own body. Yeah, the things that we may not be consciously aware of, but emotionally aware of, or instinctually aware of, or sexually. Our sexual organs will often be precursors for what's going on with our thoughts. And our thoughts are the biggest control of everything else. And in the first video, when I realized it's that emotional that will make us go, ah, and then look at the triggers of symptoms or disease or dis-ease or stress, it's really the thoughts that drive that emotion. And they could be thoughts of other words coming to us, of our own thoughts in the morning. But as I am becoming more sensitive and aware of listening to the heart speak, in its intelligence, it's throwing a lot of emotions at me that have not been my forte of strength. So it feels like shadow work, but it's really nice coming back into the light of knowing oneself. So, love you. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Facebook. You can subscribe, but I probably won't be getting any emails out. But you can get the free course, so that's always going to be available. And love somebody. Tell them you love them. Do a ho'oponopono if you need to. And talk to you soon. Bye.